Do you get confused with question marks, commas, or capital letters in Spanish? Don't worry. Today I'll explain clearly and simply how to use punctuation and capitalization in Spanish. Whether you're just starting to learn Spanish or you already speak some and you want to improve your writing, this video is for you. Vamos. Hola and welcome to Spanish with El Güero. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, well, subscribe so that you don't miss any classes. Also, while you're at it, why don't you give this video a like? So today we're going to learn about punctuation and capitalization in Spanish. Now, the great thing is that most of the punctuation in English and Spanish is exactly the same. You use periods the same, you use colons the same, semicolons the same. It's almost all the same with just a few exceptions. In this class, I will be explaining the exceptions and I won't be worrying about the stuff that's the same. So the first difference between Spanish and English when it comes to punctuation is in questions and exclamations. In English, when we write a question, we write a question mark at the end, of course. And when we write an exclamation, we write an exclamation mark at the end. In Spanish, we do the same. But in Spanish, there are two question marks and two exclamation marks that we write in questions and exclamations. We write the normal one at the end, but at the beginning, we write an inverted question mark or an inverted exclamation mark. So for example, when we write, "How are you?" in Spanish, we write, "¿Cómo estás?" There's a question mark at the end, just like in English. But at the beginning, there's an inverted question mark. ¿Cómo estás? If you don't write that inverted question mark at the beginning, it's wrong. ¿Qué dijiste? ¿Qué dijiste? What did you say? This is another question. So we have to put two question marks, the normal one at the end and the inverted one at the beginning. ¿Qué dijiste? It's the same with exclamations. ¡Qué bonito! ¡Qué bonito! How lovely! ¡Qué bonito! We have that normal exclamation mark at the end and the inverted exclamation mark at the beginning. ¡Qué bonito! ¡Qué emoción! ¡Qué emoción! How exciting! ¡Qué emoción! Once again, we have a normal exclamation mark at the end and an inverted exclamation mark at the beginning. This is always how we write questions and exclamations in Spanish. There are no exceptions. Now, if you're using a Spanish keyboard, these inverted marks are easy to find. But if you're using an English keyboard, you can copy and paste them, or you can use a shortcut such as Alt 168 for the inverted question mark and Alt 173 for the inverted exclamation mark if you're using Windows. Different keyboards have different shortcuts, and you can research those on your own. Now, the next difference in punctuation between English and Spanish is the comma. In most cases, we use the comma exactly the same in English and Spanish, except when we're separating items in a list. We know that to separate items in a list, we use commas. That's what we do in English and Spanish. The difference is that in Spanish, we do not put a comma before and or when we're separating items in a list. So for example, I bought apples, pears, bananas, and grapes. I bought apples, pears, bananas, and grapes. We put a comma between each of the items in this list, including before the last item that comes with and. We put that comma before and. In Spanish, we don't do that. Compré manzanas, peras, plátanos, y uvas. Compré manzanas, peras, plátanos, y uvas. As you can see, we do not put a comma before y, which means and in Spanish. There is no comma between the last two items in the list. Compré manzanas, peras, plátanos, y uvas. It's the same in a list of items with or. Do you like the red, the green, or the blue one? In English, we put a comma before or to separate the last two items in the list. In Spanish, you don't do that. ¿Te gusta el rojo, el verde o el azul? ¿Te gusta el rojo, el verde o el azul? We do not put a comma before o, which means or in Spanish. we do not separate the last two items in the list with a comma. This is the only difference between Spanish and English when it comes to the comma. In all other situations in which we use the comma in English, we use it in the same situations in Spanish. All other punctuation rules in Spanish are the same as they are in English. But what about capitalization? In Spanish, not everything is capitalized as it is in English. Use capital letters for the beginning of a sentence, proper names, institutions, and official titles. So, for example, hoy vamos al parque. Today we're going to the park. Hoy vamos al parque. We must capitalize the first letter in the first word of the sentence, just like in English. We capitalize Maria and Juan Pablo because these are names of people, proper names. Maria, Juan Pablo. We also capitalize Mexico and all the words in La República Dominicana because these are also proper names, names of countries. Mexico, La República Dominicana. We also capitalize Universidad de Buenos Aires because it's an institution, the University of Buenos Aires. Universidad de Buenos Aires. We also capitalize Gerente de Operaciones because this is an official title. Gerente de Operaciones, operations manager, Gerente de Operaciones. So remember, just like in English, in Spanish, we capitalize the first letter at the beginning of a sentence, proper names, institutions, and official titles. However, in Spanish, we do not capitalize the days of the week, the months of the year, languages, or nationalities. This is different from how it is in English. In English, we must capitalize all those things. In Spanish, we only capitalize these things if they come at the beginning of the sentence, of course. So, domingo, lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado. They are not capitalized in Spanish. Enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio, julio, agosto, septiembre, octubre, noviembre, diciembre. We do not capitalize them in Spanish. Español, inglés, francés, italiano, ruso, mandarin, etc. We do not capitalize languages in Spanish. Mexicano, argentino, canadiense, alemán, chino, ruso. We do not capitalize nationalities in Spanish. So, for example, on Monday, the 1st of July, I taught English to my Mexican students. On Monday, the 1st of July, I taught English to my Mexican students. In English, we capitalize Monday, July, English, and Mexican. But in Spanish, we don't. El lunes, 1 de julio, enseñé inglés a mis estudiantes mexicanos. El lunes, 1 de julio, enseñé inglés a mis estudiantes mexicanos. We do not capitalize lunes, julio, inglés, or mexicanos. If you do that, it is incorrect. My Brazilian friend helped me with my Portuguese homework last Friday, December 7th. My Brazilian friend helped me with my Portuguese homework last Friday, December 7th. In English, we capitalize Brazilian, Portuguese, Friday, and December. In Spanish, we don't capitalize any of those. Mi amigo brasileño me ayudó con mi tarea de portugués el viernes pasado, 7 de diciembre. Mi amigo brasileño me ayudó con mi tarea de portugués el viernes pasado, 7 de diciembre. We don't capitalize brasileño, portugués, viernes, or December. If you capitalize those, it is incorrect. So you're going to have to get used to these different capitalization rules in Spanish. Now, there is one more thing that we don't capitalize in Spanish that we do capitalize in English. And that is when it comes to titles of books, songs, articles, movies, etc. In English, we capitalize all of the words in these kind of titles, except for in small words like and, or, and things like that. In Spanish, we only capitalize the first word. Now, this can seem very strange to native English speakers. We're used to capitalizing almost all of the words in titles, but in Spanish, you just don't do that. So, for example, the book 100 Years of Solitude in Spanish is Cien Años de Soledad. Actually, this book was written originally in Spanish and then translated into English. In English, we capitalize almost all of the words, 100 Years of Solitude. In Spanish, we capitalize only the first word, Cien Años de Soledad. Another book that was originally written in Spanish and then translated into English is The House of the Spirits. In English, we capitalize almost all of the words. In Spanish, only the first word, La Casa de los Espíritus. And that's it. Those are the only differences between the punctuation and the capitalization rules in English and Spanish. So let's do a quick recap. In Spanish, questions and exclamations use a normal mark at the end and an inverted mark at the beginning. Do not place a comma before and or, in other words, y or o, when separating items in a list in Spanish. Capital letters are for the first word in a sentence, proper names, institutions, and official titles. But we do not capitalize the days of the week, the months of the year, languages, nationalities, or the words in the titles of books, movies, songs, etc., except the first word. And that's it. If you want to write well in Spanish, mastering punctuation and capitalization is essential. So save this video, share it with somebody else who is also learning, and tell me in the comments which of these rules was new for you. And that's our class for today. See you next time.